This is actually my third Jeep. I'd never had a Jeep before, and the first Jeep I bought, I loved it. That was back in like 1980, and so I decided I would buy a different Jeep, and a friend of mine had like a brand new Jeep for sale that he didn't want anymore, and I bought it, and my son wanted it, so I let him have it. And then it took me a couple years, several years, to find another Jeep. So I've always loved Jeeps, you know, just enjoyed them. You can really go anywhere you want to go. I mean, there's a lot of vehicles that they claim will go places, but a CJ7 Jeep it'll do the job. It'll work, no matter where you're going. My son now lives in Louisiana. He's the one that I sold the second Jeep I had bought to. And he actually went to Colorado with the Jeep Jamboree. And I mean, some of the pictures they have is awesome. I would never put my Jeep through that torture, you know, but they'll do it. It took me several years I was wanting the Laredo, you know, an upgraded model of a CJ7. And there's not that many out there, so to find one is really, really difficult. The second one that I had that I sold my son had like 20,000 miles on it, so it was like brand new, and it had never been off-road, and a good friend of mine owned it, so I knew that he had, you know, really taken good care of it. This one had high mileage on it, but Ralph Kirchhoff was the previous owner, and he spent a tremendous amount of money keeping it up, and, you know, being sure that everything was in tip-top shape. So I felt pretty confident, even though it had the high mileage, that it was going to be a wonderful Jeep, and it has been. It's kind of like the top of the line of your Jeeps. It's got, you know, more feature. You got carpeting in it. It's got air conditioning, got radio. It's got the chrome grille, chrome bumper, chrome stuff on the hood. So they're just has little extra features to it that you don't have on the standard Jeep. I really haven't had to do a lot other than just you know, continuous maintenance. And like I said, the last few years, it's kind of been at home here in my shop. I pretty well baby it, I guess you'd say. In fact, I haven't even had it on the road in the last 2 or 3 years. But prior to that, I drove it. I mean, I drove it to work. I drove it doing projects, pulled some of my trailers, working in my property. So I mean, it's not like it's just been totally sitting. It has been, and hunted out of it. You know, did a lot of hunting, did a lot of just off-road driving, which you wouldn't do in your normal car. But my wife and I, and we've taken friends with us, just gone out on some of the country roads and Weyerhaeuser roads around Garland County, and I mean, it's really nice. I've used it pretty extensively since I've had it. So I had all new carpeting put inside of it, just factory type carpeting, and I've put new tires on it, not because I needed it, but just due to the wear and being older. So it's got, you know, like new tires on it. And other than that, no, I really haven't done much, just normal maintenance. Somebody had dumped some trash, and it had this sticker right there. So I just pulled it off and stuck it on my Jeep. I've had more fun out of that. I can't tell you how many mechanics that I've drove up to their shop or friends, and they look at it and say, well, I didn't know Ford made Jeeps, and I just let it fall. You know, let them worry about it. This is true. I do love country music. It's, you know, it's got the hooks on it. Some people may not know it, but the four-wheel drive is on the axle. So when you get ready to put it in four-wheel drive, you put it in neutral, come out and dial it to either two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. It's got the hard top. I've also got, you can take the hard top off and put just the regular soft top over it. And I do have a soft top, but I enjoy the hardtop. You can drive in the rain, you know, so it's not a problem. It did have a CB radio on it. I finally took that off. That seemed to be a thing of the past. Nobody ever uses CBs anymore, but I still have the antenna on it. To open it up, you just pull that, lift this, and these are my spare parts for my carpet. But that's looking at, it's got the rear seat, 2 front seats. That's got the 6-cylinder standard transmission, and not all Jeeps have it, but this Jeep has a 5-speed forward and plus reverse. And the 5th speed, like if you're driving on the bypass or the highway and you go to 4th gear, if you want to just slide it up into 5th gear, the motor's almost just like idling. But I'll get about 19 miles a gallon on this Jeep. You know, being 80 years old, the vehicles that I grew up with were antique. I mean, gosh, on our farm we had a 49 Chevrolet 3/4 ton truck, and our cars, I think we had a Plymouth, and it had a Studebaker truck at one time. So I mean, just all the old cars back then, and they were heavy duty cars. They had heavy metal in them, 6-cylinder engines that anybody could work on. And then they started coming out with the V8s, which were gas hogs pretty well back then, but gas was 15 cents a gallon, so it didn't matter at that time. But I've just always enjoyed older things that have been well maintained and taken care of.